Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome to another video. It's been a year since I posted last time, and I'm hoping that this is going to be a very interesting video for you because it is a super interesting concept that I just conjured up out of a little bit of a brainstorming session here. And this topic is about the most important trait in attraction. Yes, you heard that right. There's one trait that rules them all. And before we get to this trait, I will want to give you a little bit of a question here. What do you think is the most attractive trait? And if you would ask me the same thing, I would immediately probably think about looks. Other people would probably think about money, and maybe other people would think about size and physical attraction. And while these are all good, they're all not the one I'm talking about. I don't want you to necessarily watch this video, but it's really important for the continuation of this thought process that I keep the answer a little bit further down this video, okay? It will come sooner than later, but still, let's hammer these points home. Why do I think that looks, money, status are not really the most important thing? And don't get me wrong, they're incredibly important. And you could even argue, and I would even argue, that they are basically what attraction is about. But if we step a little bit higher and watch all of these traits from a higher perspective, then we come to the conclusion that they're all in and of themselves insufficient. You can have a lot of money, but don't understand women necessarily, right? Don't have any game, especially if you're in this dating kind of space. You might think that having game, understanding intergender dynamics is the most important. It is not. If you have a lot of money, but you don't have game, you don't understand women, you're fucked. They will just take your money, they will fuck your ass, leave you behind with 2 children, and you're fucking wrecked, okay? Let's say you're pretty. Is that really all that is? Bro, we all had this one fucking friend. We all know all these people. I've seen countless of these individuals, all these model motherfuckers, all these TikTok femboys that look like fucking perfection themselves, but that have no social skill, meaning no game. They have no idea how to talk to women. They're extremely awkward. They are pretty uninteresting and unintelligent. They're not really having anything going for them business-wise. And they might not even have maxed out their physical appearance. Meaning they are good looking, but it's just an exterior shell. The physical appearance, especially from your face or whatever your body, is just the shell of your individual that is there to be controlled from something within, which matters way more, okay? Of course, if you're extremely cooked, if you're super clapped, ugly as shit, you have a little bit of problem, might get a nose job or whatever. But if you're like decently looking, let's say 5 to 7, even 4 to 7, there's so much you can do to improve your looks, to improve your health, and ultimately your attraction. Okay? If you're small, you have a little bit of an issue, but we all know there is a lot of money to set that off. There's a lot of other things you can do about looks. This is not a black pill philosophy. It's not all about looks. It simply isn't, because we all know these people that look incredibly good and they're just not equipped to handle life. They're not equipped to handle women. Okay? What else is there? Physical size. Yeah, same thing, man. Same thing as looks. If you only have that, what do you really have going for you? We all know these bodybuilding bums that inject steroids all day long, being big as shit, dumb as fuck, and literally have nothing going for them. They're only consumers of the bodybuilding industry. All they care about is protein, weights, and chicken, rice, and broccoli. And no woman that is even mildly attractive will appreciate that on a very deep level where she's like, okay, I'm going to fall on my knees for this certain big guy. It doesn't fucking matter. Let me tell you, as someone who's pretty decently sized by now, I was bigger before, I will be bigger again, that yes, it does matter, but you cannot attract the cream of the crop with a big physique. It will just not happen. All these traditionally sought after traits are not really it in and of themselves. Okay, now we can argue all of these things together, and we will get to this point. Okay, you need money, you need looks, you need size, you need game, all of this. This is kind of the, you could say, Andrew Tate approach, because he has it all. You need it all. Now, what is attraction for? Have you ever asked yourself what attraction is for? Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, the attraction is to get the other gender, right? Okay, but what's that for? Is that for just enjoyment? That's just for getting laid? What is getting laid for? Let's go down this path of what is what for? What's the purpose? What is it designed for? What is it selected for in human evolution? And we very fast come to the conclusion that all of this attraction is only there to pass on your genes, right? Obviously, attraction is about attracting the opposite gender. Attracting the opposite gender is about having sex, and having sex is about passing on your genes, which ultimately is about survival. Here we are once again in the Darwinism camp of the world. It is all about survival. It's all about passing on your genes. And obviously this is something you probably already understood. But this is a very important thing to realize. The most attractive thing is the most adaptive thing. And now we can argue about it. What is the most adaptive trait? Maybe it's money. Maybe it's allocation of resources. Yes, yes, yes is very important, but no, 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 not only. And let's go down a little tangent here. What's adaptive in one species is not adaptive in another species. Survival of the fittest is not about being the fittest. You've heard that before. It means to fit into an ecosystem, to find a niche, to create a niche and fit in there. But let's say with a lion, the girls like the big lions, the strong ones, the ferocious ones. Let's go to a species of bird. If you're big, heavy, and tall, you might not be equipped to fly properly. You might be too tall and too heavy. They gotta be light as possible while being agile, while being strong. Let's say sexual dimorphism, okay? The differentiation between the female of a certain species and the male of a certain species. In humans, sexual dimorphism would be strong, tall, super big guy versus a small, petite, cute and sweet, physically incapable woman. Big, strong guys like small, cute girls. That's how it goes usually. It's called sexual dimorphism. Although there's a problem with sexual dimorphism, which is that oftentimes it doesn't result in a proper pair bond. We know that from other species that have a very low sexual dimorphism. The most monogamous species are always the ones with the least sexual dimorphism. They look identical. There are primate species where the female and the male looks identical, exactly the same, and they have the most long-lasting, cutest and sweetest relationships. Do they have the most attraction, you could think? Maybe not. The woman wants a big, strong guy towering over her, and the man wants a small, cute little girl to dominate over. It's what it is, but does it really result in the best offspring, child-caring behavior? Not always, not necessarily. But we're also not necessarily on one or the other end of a spectrum. We're not necessarily purely monogamous or purely pair bonding. What I want to say is there is no end all be all. There is no, okay, you motherfucker gotta be big, you motherfucker gotta be fucking rich. We have a lot of different ecosystems. We have a lot of different cultures. We have a lot of different demographics to adhere to. A lot of different social structures, because this is another extremely important factor. To be able to understand hierarchies and social structures, because this ultimately results in status. If you're able to really navigate through these, you understand what it's all about. Okay, there is no answer yet that I gave you what the most attractive trait is. It's the most adaptive trait. Survival, basically. But that's not a trait. Like, you can't be fit, you can't be adaptive. Let me get some water. I don't want to tease you any longer, any further. There's one trait that rules them all. That's the most adaptive, that's the most attractive, if you think about it. From meta perspective, allocates everything else. There's one trait that makes you have money, looks, status, fame, game. There's one thing, honestly. And this one thing is cognitive capacity. We can call it intelligence. I think intelligence is not necessarily the best way to describe it, because you can be a very intellectual individual as well. You can be very brainy, right? And what will people call you? A nerd? A geek? You won't be able to attract women anyways. But cognitive ability, flexibility of mind. There are many ways you can describe this one trait. And this is really what rules them all. Because if you think about it, once you have that, you have everything. Or you have the potential to have everything. And if you think about it, that's what the human animal has been selecting for. We've gotten weaker, smaller, and thinner. Once we were big fucking Neanderthals. Now we're pretty scrawny compared to our ancestors. But our brains are huge. Our brains are massive. Because we know that it's far more important to understand the world than to just brutally bulldoze through it. That's what our ancestors understood. The human animal is selected for the biggest brains, literally and figuratively. Let's conclude this. If you don't have brains, if you're not very cognitively capable, you don't really have anything that is traditionally selected for. You don't have looks. You might be born with a very, very good facial structure, but you don't really understand the proportions of how you would look the best. You don't really understand haircut, grooming. You don't really understand body posture. So you're not really making the best out of what you have. If you're not intelligent, you don't understand game, which means you don't understand intergender dynamics. You don't understand women. Maybe you're a white knight. Maybe you're blue-pilled. You just don't understand the hoes, bro. You just don't know how they work. But the bigger underlying problem is that you're just not smart enough. If you're not smart, what about size, bro? You don't understand training, nutritioning, and recovery. Maybe you're smart enough to, say, like, inject some steroids, bro. It's not really how it goes long term, man. Do that a few years, you're gonna fucking die of heart attack. You understand the point? Next up, if you're not smart, you don't understand business, meaning you don't understand how to make money. And there we have it, guys. The most important trait ever selected for in the evolution of the human species is cognitive capacity. Intelligence, brains, call it whatever you want. If you don't understand how the world operates, how you as a human creature functions, as how all the different things, all the social hierarchies operate in, that you operate in, then you're ultimately screwed. It always depends on how much you want, how high you want to climb. Of course, you can get laid with very easy measures. All you need is a physique. There will be 1 girl, 2 girls, maybe 3 girls that want you, but you won't get cream of the crop, my boy. You're not going top notch, homie. And if you want that, the most important factor is intelligence. It really is. Because if you have that, then you have everything. And this is not a guide on how to get more intelligent at all, although you would probably know how that is. Build a proper verbal acuity, turn off all distraction, take time out of your day to think, journaling, reading, studying. You know how to get smarter, I guess, right? By studying each and every aspect there is to life. But this is what I want to leave you with, guys. This is the first video in over a year, and I hope you enjoyed it. I actually think it's super important to realize, it's super interesting if you come to the conclusion that, okay, I just got to be a very flexible individual cognitively, then you can really, really, really wrap your head around a lot of things and ultimately motivate yourself to act, put the habits in place, design your environment in a way that helps you achieve your goals. And in that regard, guys, I see you in the next video.